good afternoon and welcome. Good afternoon, Shamir and Shubham. Yeah, thanks a lot. Good afternoon to Sajeev, Sumit and Mangalam, Harsha, Anand Mohan and all the other students present today whom I can see. I need to just call the screen, so isko just ek baar thoda sa niche karwa do. Okay, so there is Roshan, Shivakoti and Anand, and there is Euphrasia and a lot of students. All right, so fine. Welcome all of you for today's session, and today thanks a lot for first and foremost choosing sociology as an optional, thinking of sociology. I mean, even if you have not made a choice, your sense of commitment to be present over here and to be able to connect with this discipline, at least for the sake of exploration, is a massive, I would say, achievement. Because the moment you determine that let me at least explore and see what option, what opportunity I have related to this optional, that creates a vista, that creates a sense of assertiveness for me, whereby I can think that a child is hopeful for this discipline, one. Second, the child is somewhere interested, somewhere curious that how this discipline can help him or her get selected, and more importantly, somewhere that sense of faith that is exhibited that yes, it is a discipline which can help me pull through with respect to my selection. So thank you for expressing your sense of confidence in this discipline and in me to be present for today's session. Good evening, Geomin and Anil, Akriti. And so today, like, you know, all of you, all those who are like observing me, there is a camera in between and there are 3 different sessions that are parallelly running. One, students who are associated with me through the YouTube. Second is with satellite channel, and third is associated with the online platform. So there are 3 types of students. So I welcome all of you. Once in a while you will see I'll keep looking like this, like this, like this, and this is because there are 3 different levels of chat to which I need to respond to. Now, as we are going to start with this discussion related to sociology optional for our mains exam, there are certain dimensions which we would be like exploring today, and along with that I will be also substantiating certain insights related to your preparation. Good afternoon, Toriko and Megha and Korean. Okay. Is it wise to do MS Sociology in IGNOU? Yeah, you can definitely pursue an academic degree. It adds more volume and weightage, and also you get a lot of interesting examples and insights from senior professors. It can nourish you to seek some alternative career in terms of academics. You can like become a sociology professor, or you can like think about social work, you can get associated with NGO. So other avenues also open if you are thinking of pursuing a master's in this degree. Good afternoon, Alok. So now when we are going to discuss about this very optional today, because you people are curious that whether you should go ahead with this optional or not, I would share certain selected candidates' answer sheets so that it first and foremost enthuses with confidence that okay, it is achievable. Now with respect to your like selection, when we are talking about your selection in general, we all can see that your selection is something which is determined by the kind of marks that you achieve, right? So, okay, that's really interesting. Thank you for that information, Zeling and Prajakta, Akhila, all of you again welcome. Nandita, good afternoon. Gameplay Destination, I remembered your formal official name. I'm just forgetting it right now. You can just share that. So, Amit, good afternoon. Okay, all right. So, when we are starting with this very dimension, why is the pen not working? Tech team, just check this out. The pen, the option over here. Okay, so when we are talking about this very dimension, we just need to work out on certain things. For optional, we have to cover the master's syllabus also. No, definitely not Lipika. And all those students who have the query related to sociology optional and CSC prelims and CSC mains. My first insight would be a bit of UPSC syllabus is associated with your graduation, and a bit of topics is associated with the post-graduation dimension. So, when we are talking about it, this, right? Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay. So, when we are discussing about this dimension related to your approach of this very paper, what all segments need to be studied and how it should be studied. Few topics will be from graduation and few will be from post graduation. So when we will be substantiating the dimensions, I'll constantly motivate you which segments needs to be taken from the grad course and from the post grad course. In fact, now I wanted to discuss it towards the end, but because this topic has been brought up towards the beginning, just informing this to you that the booklets that are prepared for all of you is from various academic sources. So like let's say every teacher will say that for every single topic there are like 15 or 20 reference sources which can be taken care of. One. Second, many people will give you a list of reference books that for sociology please refer these list of basic books for paper 1 and paper 2. This is what majority of the people will say. But what I have created for all of you is all the different books, like let us say if you have to refer certain number of books for thinkers or certain number of books for social stratification, for political system, rather than expecting you to have an access to the library of books, I have created the possibility of consolidating the various chapters which are important for you from those books in a wholesome booklet. So like let us say if you are getting a booklet related to thinkers, social stratification, or related to paper 1, or like let's say caste system, social classes. So rather than expecting you that you will be like referring to IGNOU for this topic, Ritzer for this topic, like XYZ different types of thinkers for so and so topics, rather than expecting you to have an accessibility to those books, readings and sources, I have compiled those readings into a booklet form. So when you are reading the booklet provided by us, that is something which is already a consolidated source from different academics, from different academicians, from different like let's say research reports, from different journals, and you don't need to be scattered in that term that oh my god I need to read further more for like this very area theoretically from different other books. That's not required, because already the booklet that will be provided to you will be from the source material of different types of books. All right. So you can just be confident about this, that okay, I don't need to purchase any book per se, because or rather like a dozen books or 2 dozen books, everything will be consolidated in the booklet form. That's one source. Second is I will be giving you handouts. So every lecture, because many a time what we see is that a student ends up taking dictations or a child ends up like writing a lot. I don't want to indulge in that, because that is wasting your time. Also, this is a very, I would say, that is like consolidation of garbage in a way, because you are wasting the time also, and what can be provided in few minutes is extended into hours. So that will not be done in my class, especially in an online course. That will be a very, I would say, regressive and very traditional way of teaching. So I will be providing you handouts related to every topic. So just giving you a brief insight. Let's say if I'm teaching thinkers, so rather than expecting you that you will like refer to Ritzer and then you will be referring in your own capacity, I have picked out certain chapters from Ritzer and consolidated into the book. But I will not be giving you the book in the first go. First I will let us say give you my handout. It will be let's say you can say a consolidation of 15 to 20 pages on let's say Karl Marx. So you are reading from the handout. It is explained in the class. So after you have understood Marx from the lecture while I am discussing it and while you are reading it from the handout in the class, when that is completed, then you refer the book. The book which is not something which is written by me, that is something which is from different academic sources. So you are reading Ritzer, but you don't have to buy Ritzer because it is already in that booklet. I hope that makes sense. The timing of the class, Abhishek, we are aspiring to keep it at around 2 p.m. This is what we are thinking. Major paper in graduation, I found it tough and want to go for sociology. All right, Toriko, you will not be disappointed and you'll be really understanding it and connecting with this discipline at multiple levels. See, the beauty of sociology, which I had also written in the Telegram group as well, is that it is not only going to make you a civil servant who is very rational, thoughtful, visionary, can have a sense of predictability that what is unfolding in the near future and how he or she needs to be prepared to handle it. More importantly, you will be a very compassionate human being who can associate with what is unfolding in the human societies, not only in India but across the world, and what are the repercussions at microscopic level as well as macroscopic level. So your sense of insight and predictability is sharpened. Also, there is one thing which I would like to highlight. The purpose of this lecture is not just to give you a classroom experience. Outside the classroom, your capability to think, create and discover should be chiseled. You know, just today in the morning, like last year's batch, they were discussing about like inter-religious marriage and should conversion be allowed for inter-religious marriage or not. Now, that's something which is, I would say, exploration. You are just thinking, you are debating, you will arrive at certain academic insights. There will be some garbage which will be discarded by like the students while it is being discussed as irrelevant like points. So, arriving at something sensibly while discussing, while raising a point, while indulging in it is something which should be triggered. So, like I create an open group. I mean, presently all those students who have got associated with it. Chandramouli not able to view the video. Has it started? Yes, it has started, Chandramouli. If you can hear me, can you please like refresh it? Shubham, Saurav, you are asking about like, you know, that is the fee and all those segments, you know, that is something which is associated with the administration and management related issue. I am supposed to teach. So, my prime purpose is to just like, you know, focus on the academic orientation and give you the best in terms of academic understanding of this topic and how to indulge in it. With respect to the administrative questions, I will see to it that the management reaches out to you. All right, Shubham, you have the contact number. So, please like get in touch with the management. It's working now? Okay, all right, Chandramouli, glad to know that and thank you for joining in. So, how much to read the IGNOU material, that I will be helping Shubham. You will realize that when the material is provided to all of you, the booklets are provided to all of you, you are already guided what is relevant from the the IGNOU material and what has to be left. Because while creating your booklet, those topics which needed the reference of IGNOU, the chapters have been picked from IGNOU. Like let us say, for social movements, for the theoretical understanding of social movements, if something needed to be picked from IGNOU, that was picked from IGNOU. Like let us say hashtag #MeToo movement is not there in IGNOU, so that is something which I consolidated from other relevant academic sources, whether it was EPW or other international journals and magazines. So that is how you will realize that the questions that you people are raising related to, ma'am, how to go about with the notes, that is one thing you need to be rest assured about, one. Second, the duration of the course, Shamir, last batch I completed in 81 sessions. Generally, I take between 80 to 85 sessions. Depending on the possibility that what can be designed for all of you, because there are like this is an online relay which is taking place at 3 levels. One is the YouTube, which can be accessible from all sources and areas. Another is the online, and third one is the satellite. So, different types of relays are involved, hence you need a very bulky infrastructure for that, and because of that, like we need the studio constantly available. So, on an average we go for 4 to 5 lectures per week, not more than that. Every session on an average is 2 hours. Yes, I won't deny that as the session is about to get completed, sometimes it can be 2 hour 15 minutes or 2 hour 30 minutes also, but with your due permission towards the beginning of the lecture itself, that can I take 10-15 minutes extra today or half an hour extra today. And students, when after they have brushed up and they have warmed up after 2 or 3 months, then they feel that yes, we need some more pace. And trust me, you will not feel tired or bored in the 2 hour lecture. Interesting fact will be like sometimes you will not even realize when the 2 hours is over. I will create that level of engagement, curiosity and intent that you do not feel the burdensome process of learning, rather you feel that you yourself are not only engaging, but you are contributing with your own levels of reflections, insights and observations that you have arrived at in last 2 decades to build a sense of understanding about this discipline, whereby it is like your own unique touch to this discipline. So, yes, the sociology questions, Pungi, as you are asking about that, Pungni. The questions are associated with the syllabus. There are 3 types of questions. So if you people permit me, course duration, Mr. Singh, M. Singh, is like on an average, like it will be something around 4 months. This is what I'd say, because if we are planning to start on first week of September, and in the month of December, I on an average take 10 days break because of the Christmas and New Year break, and also giving students some time to reflect and go for a consolidated test. Because after every 15 days or 20 days, I conduct a test of the number of chapters that have been completed, to see to it that the child is able to revise and revisit what all dimensions are there that have been covered, how well I can reflect. The different types of previous year questions that have been asked associated with that chapter is something which I discuss in the class. In tandem with those level of questions, I create test questions, and then you write the answers. Students who don't attempt the tests, once in a while they are scolded by me. Yes, I sometimes tend to become a very, I would say, a guardian-like or a motherly figure, and tend to sometimes become authoritative when a child is not performing, or any kind of push is required, whether it is an emotional push, whether it is like, let us say, a push related to being stern, or sometimes when I have to understand that what went wrong in the process of preparation and what kind of other support a child needs. So I'm there through and through in your preparation. There is a WhatsApp group that is created once the batch is formed and once like all the students have crystallized. In that WhatsApp group, there is a two-way communication. Means it's not like just I posting something. Generally, I keep my Telegram groups or other open groups which are open to the larger masses. I keep it closed, whereby only I can post, for the simple reason I don't want any kind of deviation occurring in the group. But with my students who have committed to sociology as a discipline and chosen me to be their mentor, for those students I create this group in which even you have the liberty or the freedom to post, whereby you can post any article you have come across which you feel is of sociological importance. Sometimes you may read an article and not understand that how it can be articulated in a question. Still you can post and you can ask that, ma'am, what can be the tentative question that can be raised from this article, or is it of sociological importance? That space is always there. You can debate and discuss certain previous year question, that this question was asked in this year, and dear friends, what answer can be created? And the wholesome team starts working on the answer. When the students go wrong with some or the other point, I intervene and I'm like, no, this point shall not be there. This shall be abbreviated. This is how you need to reflect. And when someone comes up with out of box example or something which maybe others have not thought of, that's a bravo approach and I do appreciate it. So a lot of brainstorming also happens in the group. The hand holding continues till the time you get selected, because I do understand that UPSC is not a very, I would say, easy ball game or a rhythmic ball game, whereby you can always consider that a student will get selected at a specific age and stage. Something which the society misses to understand, something which your friends who are not from this background, they don't understand. I do understand that a child may go till interview level or may get selected but at a lower rank and needs an extra push. So without any sense of guilt that why a child could not clear prelims or mains or interview, or why the child is getting stuck at lower rank, it's all about what breakthroughs are needed and in what capacity it can be provided. I shall stand for all of you at each and every level till the time you are selected. It's not about 6 months course or 4 months course. It's all about till what time you need me, whether it is for a state commission or for civil services. The lectures will be totally focused on the component of UPSC. But if any student is in private capacity preparing for state commission, that child can just raise a question that, ma'am, I'm appearing for my state commission and this is the difference in the syllabus that can be worked out personally. So I'll be there for that purpose as well, but definitely not in the class, because there are certain differences in the state commission and UPSC syllabus. But that can be supported outside the class. That's also there. Okay. There will be Mr. M. Singh, there will be, you can go ahead for 3 demo classes. So 3 classes will be like the accessibility will be granted to you. You can just contact the management team if needed, and you can get a sense of credibility in terms of understanding the chapters, sense of reflection, and how it is useful for you to get selected in your wholesome preparation. if anyone is preparing for 2023, and if that student is thinking, as Abhishek is asking, so if someone is thinking that how one can just go ahead with this optional, well, I would say any student who is going for mains preparation or optional preparation from now onward is making the best decision. Because when you start preparing for the optional subject or the mains preparation, whereby you need to indulge in a lot of theory, in a lot of concept building, when the concepts and theories are built, you are able to understand what is unfolding in the present society. Whether it is any current development or there is some contemporary issue which is searing and it is boiling or existing for past few years, your capability to connect it with the theory, that what thinkers have said about it, why it happens, how it happens, what may happen, and then when you connect it with what is happening, you're like, oh my God, the theory is actually articulating itself. So if, like, let us say, if you are coming to know about like the concept of banana republic, and you come to know about it that this was a concept which was given, like, let us say 70 years back, and it articulated itself something like 100 years back through literature. Sociologically, a thorough inquiry was made between 50s to 70s. And then you realize that, okay, the big brother theory as it emerges and how it starts unfolding and, like, dominating the global politics. And this big brother can be anyone. Maybe India for Nepal, maybe US for like certain other developing countries. So when you start thinking about those possibilities and you start implementing the theory on what is happening before you, you start gaining a sense of clarity, what is happening, why is it happening. So your basic perspectives start building, and it's not just about cramming of facts related to current affairs. So understanding the theory builds your sense of preparation in a more long-term manner, in a wholesome manner, in a reflective way. You can write your answers, because this is associated with all the students who are present and who are, like, let us say, being like kind of curious about this very dimension. For all those students, I would also say this thing which should be known to all of you. It's not related to sociology optional, it is related to all optional subjects. Who is your examiner? Who is like creating your question paper? Who is like creating your model answers? Who is the person who's truly responsible for it? That's my question. Think about it, reflect upon it. Who is it? That is not a coaching teacher, that is not a UP, like senior bureaucrat, that is not any person associated with UPSC from administrative purpose, no. That is a senior academician from some central university, an academician of international reputation, an academician who is like those students who are following me on the Telegram channel. You must have realized that in past few days, I had posted certain lectures of senior academicians. Why? 7 years old lecture. It was from a symposium. Because the relevance of the discussion, democracy and social change, and all those issues that were discussed by those thinkers are relevant even now and shall remain relevant for your answers even after 5 years. So these professors, these think tanks, who are going and giving guest lectures to different universities across the world, whether Oxford or Princeton or wheresoever. And these professors, when they are like requested by UPSC to create question paper for you, the debates, the insights, the dialogues that they are surrounded by, those are the issues on which they tend to ask questions from you. So I, as a teacher, am supposed to be posted about each and everything which they are surrounded by, because the issues that are bothersome for them, they will be the issues that will qualify as a question for you. You cannot manage so much, because you have to, in GS there are 4 papers and there are almost 12 subjects. You have to take care from history to art and culture, geography to Indian society. You have to take care of IR, governance, polity, etc, etc, paper 3, paper 4. So much to be covered by all of you. So expecting that you will be following the sociological journals, you will be the person who will be paying attention to these think tanks and academicians when they are going for public speeches and discussions. No, that's really not possible for you. But yes, that is something that I should be posted about, what they are talking, what is touching them, what is influencing them, what are their genuine concerns, because that is something which gets articulated into questions, which I'll be showing you in the form of the question paper. All right, that's interesting, Mr. DG. Okay, so how do I manage both? Okay, with respect to time management, Dakalube, Zilang, I will be discussing about how to manage the timings. When I start the lecture, I'll be just assisting you to begin with. What can be done is you can just go ahead with 2 hours of preparation with respect to optional. That will be a basic warm-up. You will start engaging with the subject, you will start getting introduced to the subject, and once you start enjoying, understanding, engaging, your sense of connectivity will start getting established. Few students have asked that, ma'am, we don't belong to like sociology background. Let me tell you, in past like more than a decade since this discipline has been taught by me. So in past few years, I have always observed that in the optional classes, not just my optional classes, in all other optional classes, on an average, 70 to 80% students who come up are students from non-humanities background. Why? Because just ask yourself in your school days or in your college days, how many of your friends had taken humanities as a subject? In your school days, till standard 12th, how many students had humanities? Majority of them were either science students or commerce students. It is only when a student thinks of preparing for civil services, a child has that tendency or that sense of let us say that connectivity, that how to go ahead with the preparation, and the child is informed by seniors that humanities subjects are interesting also, they are easy to crack, so opt for an optional subject. Well, that's so true. And sociology becomes a very popular optional for the simple reason, the number of results that sociology can give. If you see the previous year, like there is this 2017 record given by UPSC itself. Sociology proves to be amongst top 5 optionals consistently for almost a decade. The percentage of selection of sociology is in like given number of years, if I talk about like past 5 years, on an average, sociology's selection in terms of wholesome percentage, the I would say the intensity of a student to crack with this optional on an average is greater than compared to various other optionals. If you ask about comparison, I should not do that, but okay, if like as many of you are asking, they are having a confusion between like certain concepts. In that, I would like to share this thing related to like, let's say, for example, if you're thinking of history, you're thinking of geography, or you are thinking of PSIR, they are bulky, quite exhaustive. The syllabus is quite exhaustive, but still, even though this is my optional, the most authentic statement that I would share with all of you, that I would give to all of you is, don't opt sociology only because I am there, or only because I am saying so, only because you find that, okay, I can communicate it interestingly. Please opt sociology when you feel connected to the discipline, when you feel, yeah, I feel like reading it more. See, I will be doing the hand holding like every day, almost for 2 to 3 hours, like directly through the class and after the class also, if and when needed. But after that, what happens? When you are like, let us say, sitting in your own like room and preparing notes, memorizing it, you need to be genuinely interested and curious to prepare it. When you're walking on the street and you're seeing that people are struggling with basic infrastructure, when you are seeing migrants walking down the street bare feet, with bleeding feet for hundreds of kilometers, with blisters, not having definite access to infrastructure, public transport, then can you see the sociological crisis? Can you see the reflections of Karl Marx? Can you see the reflections of Merton? Can you see the reflections with respect to a searing sense of social movement, which may not be incendiary, which may not always create some kind of disruption by like damaging public property? Can you see the various aspects unfolding related to what is being taught in theory with respect to what's unfolding in the present? That can happen only when you are passionate to know your people. You are going to serve the masses of this country. You aspire to be a civil servant. The purpose of this course is not something associated with like making you capable to clear a PhD entrance or write a PhD thesis. The purpose of this course is to make you a capable citizen and more importantly, a capable leader who is compassionate, who is reflective, who is a person of integrity, who is a person who is having non-partisan behavior, who is understanding the verve of diversity and plurality of this country, and who can really justify what kind of intervention is needed to which community, when, why, and how. That is possible only when you know the people, your people. And this discipline shall ensure that. So if you really know your people, your level of administrative decision making will be far sharper than many of them. This is what this discipline can create for you, even if you are belonging to a non-sociology background, to all those students who had asked for this given question. Okay, Roshni, that's interesting. You can really cover up, so don't worry about that. With respect to this, GS and optional, how much time to allocate for both? Time management, I've already told you, Zilang, that we'll be talking about time management once the lectures commence, right? The syllabus given is not very detailed. For example, Whitehead came this year, however, a glance at the syllabus does not reveal Whitehead's contribution. Yeah, exactly. Let me tell you that thing, Mr. Pasi. When we are talking about this, Bankit Lang, this has happened in past also. Like, you know, Elton Mayo's concept was asked related to the chapter of work and economic life, whereby he constantly worked towards the possibility of creating a balance between informal and formal sector. And twice the question was asked. UPSC examiner, as I told you, that is like academician. So like let us say if there is any concept related to family marriage kinship which is much talked about, the examiner won't be bothered whether that thinker is there in the syllabus or not. The examiner will be concerned that this was in debate, this was in discussion, were you aware of it or not? One. Second, this is related to optional as well as GS preparation, which all of you should know. UPSC creates 3 types of questions on an average. One is the theoretical question, which takes almost 50% of the bulk questions, whereby you need to have an analytical understanding of the theory related to different chapters. 50% of the questions you can just see through, whether it is your GS question paper or it is associated with your sociology paper. With the rest 50%, again, that is divided into like finer segments on an average. Like let's say the first component, that is the 50%, the theoretical component, sometimes the question can have 2 parts. One can be the theoretical component, second can be the contemporary issue, something which is searing and seething for past few years. And then that can be clubbed, that can be connected, and the examiner can expect you to, like let us say, connect what's happening in and around for past few years with respect to the theory. So few questions can be like that. Another thing is something which is contemporary only, like purely contemporary. The theoretical reflection will be inherent in it, hidden in it, but the question is not overtly like related to the theory. It seems to be engaging you analytically only with what's happening in contemporary times. Contemporary means can be associated with what's developing in past 2, 5, 10, 20 years. Contemporary means we can say post-globalization. That would be a more broader way to think about the term contemporary. Along with that, you can also see with respect to this area, when we talk about the second set of question, third set, one is theoretical, second is contemporary, third is current affairs. What's happening right now? And that can be laced up as a question like education policy, the new education policy 2020. There was a question in GS paper 1 as well as sociology paper 2 in 2020 mains. So, like let us say LGBTQ, with respect to it in 2018, when we were discussing and debating, and towards the end of 2018, the Supreme Court of India did away with certain penalizing provisions in section 377. So there was a question in 2019 mains related to the LGBTQ community. So you need to be reflective what's unfolding before you, and you don't need to find those answers in the academic course books or thinkers necessarily talking about it 5 or 10 years back. You need to be posted about what is being discussed right now and how it is connected to my syllabus. That is what I say, that you need to update it with current affairs. And for that, your WhatsApp group will really help you, whereby you as well as I from different sources shall regularly post any article or any source from any quarter that we arrive at over there, so that it helps us all, because it is a win-win situation for all of us to update. Even certain students, like last year, I had this student Diksha, so she had pursued her masters from University of Sussex. So she came across this discussion of Christoph Jefferlot sir, and he has been a regular contributor in Indian Express and The Hindu, and he is also a sociologist who has worked in India with respect to reflections on inequality, poverty and caste related dynamics, and his lecture was available for free. So she just shared that link in the sociology group for all of us, that all those who are interested quickly register, because there are limited number of seats, just 150 or 200 seats. And our class was already like occupying more than half of their seats. So that also did happen. So please understand this very possibility, that the process will be quite engaging. It will not only be associated with my lectures. When offline classes were going on, when pandemic was not there, like just few years back, there was this Professor P. Sainath. I prefer to call him professor, though he is a journalist. So he was there at this Delhi School of Social Work. One of my students was a student over there and requested that, ma'am, I would like you to be there. I was like, I have the sociology lecture, so how about getting the entire class there? And then he was really interested. And the regional center students, like all of you who are there, those of the students, they were like, ma'am, I was like really like curious, how will we attend? So we recorded it and we shared it in the group. So along with the live session being attended, so that day the session was not about I taking the class. In that entire 85-day session that I had to take, that one session, rather than I taking it, I just helped the students to get connected live with P. Sainath sir. So that also did happen. So a lot can be created, a lot of fun can be created, a lot of experimentation is there related to this area, whereby your sense of engagement and reflection and your capability to contribute shall be encouraged, right? Because sociology is not just about learning and just cramming certain theories and facts. It's about reflecting and creating and discovering as well. Okay, what are the pros and cons of sociology as an optional? Naima, the pros are, it will help you with respect to GS paper 1. I have in fact created, if you want to see that, I had kept it for later discussion, lekin chalo koi nahi, abhi hi kar dete hain. So I'll be needing this. Please help the students. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so as all of you can see this over here on the screen, this is GS mains, GS, not sociology, GS mains 2020 paper 1. And all of you can see there are 6 questions related to what insights you build from sociology. GS paper 1, you know it's 250 marks. This is 75 marks question from what you build from your sociology optional itself. First question, has caste lost its relevance in understanding the multicultural Indian society? Elaborate your answer with illustrations. Second is COVID-19 pandemic accelerated class inequalities and poverty in India. Comment. Third, do you agree regionalism in India appears to be consequence of rising cultural assertiveness? Argue. Then fourth question, is diversity and pluralism in India under threat due to globalization? Justify your answer. This is directly associated with modernization of Indian tradition, the chapter. And anyway, then you can see customs and traditions suppress reason leading to obscurantism. Do you agree? Again, this is modernization of Indian tradition, something which is associated with Yogendra Singh, Makim Marriott and a pool of thinkers. Anyway, then you can see how have digital initiatives in India contributed to the functioning of education system in the country? Elaborate your answer. 6 questions, 75 marks, paper 1 out of 250 marks, right? So this is something which you can see. With respect to essay, at least one question of essay is directly associated with the social issues topic. So 125 marks of essay is definitely built. I also teach the component of essay. So 250 marks can be duly taken care of. Then you can also see with respect to your GS paper 4, ethics, integrity, aptitude. There are certain social reflections in the absence of which understanding the values of the society, the moralities that are unfolding, the moralities which are getting shaped and created through laws, or through social changes and movements. That is something which you tend to build and understand, which not only helps you to solve the case studies better, but also understand and unfold the theories quite practically. Along with that, you can see in GS paper 2, when we are talking about it, you can see social justice, at least 50 marks questions are asked, and that is duly taken care of from this area. One area which I have not written over here, but you should be aware of, your sociology paper 1, chapter 1 talks about emergence of sociology, where briefly we discuss about period of enlightenment, French Revolution, Industrial Revolution, what happened in Europe, because of which, in the context of which sociology as a discipline it emerged. On and off, UPSC has been asking questions related to the 17th, 18th and 19th century changes that have been unfolding in or that has unfolded in Europe in the component of GS paper 1 history. You can reflect and respond to those questions quite effectively by knowing sociology. Again, in paper 2, when you think of and you study like Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, you study about Gandhiji, and you study about a list of other think tanks, their opinions and perspectives, that also helps you to write certain history questions, whether pre-independence or post-independence. So sociology also helps you to attempt certain questions even in the history segment. All right. So that's the importance. So direct Indian society, 75 marks you can see. If history I rope in 1 or 2 questions also, it easily climbs up to 90 marks. With respect to essay, I can take full charge of that 250 marks. Optional, 1000 marks, right? Paper 2, that is social justice, you can think of 50 more marks. So, I mean, I do teach GS paper 4 ethics, integrity, aptitude. Few of the students have already taken that class. So, that's something which I definitely do not say that, but still, if any sociology student is having any queries or any questions or any doubts related to paper 4, can reach out to me personally, even if the child is not enrolled for any course related to ethics. So that I can still support. All right. So this is what I can create for all of you. And okay. Other than that, so can I just see the previous chat of the students over here? यहाँ पर ये जो chat है, इसको नीचे मैं देख सकती हूँ. I'm unable to just see this. मतलब जो नीचे दब गया वो क्या दब ही गया? That's the question. Preparing for 2021, would I still be able to cope? Okay, Divyani, are you appearing for the prelims? Is this the slide? Okay, thank you. This is the thing, you know, when you see the doctor, you start getting cured. You can just put me, वहाँ पे screen में मैं दिखती रहनी चाहिए, है ना? Okay, thank you. So, हाँ मैं समझ गई, what is the issue? Thank you. It's just like, you know, when you see the doctor, things get cured. So, मुझे आप लोगों का chat देखना था of satellite students who are connected, and because YouTube, the chat is directly visible. But with satellite students, sometimes I have to scroll it down, because many students are writing and sometimes your questions are getting buried, and I apologize for that. I don't intend to miss any of the questions. So, there are certain questions, no link for sociology. Is it possible to cope up from the scratch? Yes, Shreyas. As I told you that more than 80% of the students have non-sociology background, and not only they cope up, but they also clear the exam. Okay, preparing for prelims, no problem, Divyani. You cover half the syllabus before your prelims, all right? Like you cover it till September, whatever you can, and after that, and suppose, if any student due to any given reason is unable to attend a live session, just you can request, you can just push the request that you missed that session due to XYZ reason, keep the management posted about it, the backup lectures shall be provided to you. So don't worry about the possibility that you will miss out on the lectures. You can anytime, but yes, I will always encourage you people like Divyani or any other student who is struggling with this very issue related to, okay Abhishek, I've seen your query and suddenly it just flooded, like you have probably pressed the enter almost 5-7 times. So I saw your question, I'll just get back to it. So Divyani or any other student who is preparing for this year, or is considering the possibility that how to go about with it if I'm appearing for this year prelims, then you can probably take one or 2 chapters, you can complete it initially. And the moment you feel that sense of ease and comfort, because sociology syllabus is not too vast. Now let me just give you an insight. The only optional paper which is having a shorter syllabus than sociology is anthropology. But the biggest demerit of anthropology is it will not help you even distantly related to your essay or GS paper 1, 2 or 4 whatsoever. Anthro is a scoring optional like sociology, but it will not help you build any kind of basic insights related to understanding the present unfoldings of social contradictions and your capability to build your understanding about the people and their crisis of contemporary times, because it's talking about evolution of man. So when it comes to connecting with GS papers or essay, it might not be that helpful. So why not study for a few extra days and learn something extra which helps you to build your understanding about GS rather than cut short just in the namesake of optional, because baat ghuma ke wahi ho jati. Anyway, you'll have to study it for GS. But if you're studying it in optional, that GS related pressure is cut down to a certain extent because it gets balanced out. So the only optional which is shorter in syllabus than sociology is anthropology. But still it gets added because that's an extra addition you are studying without any reflection for GS. And those topics have to be studied for GS. So that's the issue with respect to that optional, if you think of reflection and comparison. And after the prelims, if any student is appearing, after the prelims, immediately after the prelims, please complete all the lectures systematically, do a lot of answer writing practice. We do have a course coordinator, so Maram is there, and Maram has been supporting me for past 2 years, and he is a boy who has cleared like till interview. This fellow has cleared all the AFCAT and army related exams as a commissioned as an officer, but then he left because he's all focused for civil services exam. So he is the person who helps me with certain proofreading or day-to-day life queries of students related to, like, let's say if some student wants to get an answer evaluated daily. Yes, that can be done. Write an answer daily, that will be evaluated daily. That also will be taken care of. So all that is definitely there. Abhishek, I'll look into it and you shall be posted about the timing. Your concern related to the lecture timings, let me see if that can be worked out. All right. Engineering background, no option. I think I have discussed that. Shreyas, prelims this year. Okay, I hope Bhalla we have met earlier, right, for some GS class. So I hope that is giving you some hope. I have already discussed your issue through Devyani. Farm law as well. Okay. Hinka, you were asking, does sociology or any questions get related to farm laws? It does, because you have a chapter related to agrarian crisis. So you have the, like, there are in fact 2 chapters. One is rural and agrarian social structure, and another chapter is rural and agrarian social transformation. So agrarian structure will be talking about the class structure, caste dynamics, how the rural society exists, and with its existence, how its economic well-being gets articulated. Whereas in social transformation, so rural agrarian transformation, you see how technology, how laws, how different types of government interventions, schemes, etc. shape the lives of the farmers. And that helps you in GS paper 3, economy and agriculture as well. So that's yet another relevance of sociology, whereby the concepts which are taught in paper 2 helps you to build your understanding in GS paper 3 as well. People say philosophy optional is the shortest. No, Abhishek, shortest, even shorter than philosophy is anthro. A good teacher can cover anthropology within 60 days, that's it. But it will lead to extra rigor, that's the challenge. Extra rigor which is not helping you anywhere in GS. Philosophy still takes 3 months on an average. 3.25 months or 3.5 months is what sociology takes, just like 15 extra days. And any good philosophy teacher will also be taking somewhat closer to 80 to 85 lectures. You can just cross check, and that's what I also take. As I told you, in the previous batch, I finished it within 81 sessions, though I had promised them 85. So it can go little plus, little minus, depending on the dynamism of the batch. Suppose there is a topic in which the discussion gets extended and you people keep raising a lot of questions related to a very, I I would say, dynamic topic, let's say related to caste or related to family or related to like violence against women, related to education or reforms required in it, agrarian reforms, farmers' protests, anything as such. Suppose there is a debate or discussion going on and you all participate a lot in the class, and let's say the lecture gets extended and the entire lecture gets consumed on one topic. That's perfectly fine. That will just add one lecture towards the end of the session. And I'm always open for it. But because 1 or 2 extra sessions doesn't bother till the time it's making you curious and capable to think and connect the dots. So that's what. Any other question that I have missed out? So just a second. Pros and cons of sociology, I think I have responded to that. Okay, so I think a majority of the questions have been handled. If any other student is experiencing that the question has not yet been like addressed, I apologize for that, and you can always raise that question. I'll definitely take that query and like respond to it accordingly. Now, so with respect to this, as we are reflecting upon this, दिखाना तो बहुत कुछ था आप लोगों को, but ठीक है, just a second, I'll just show certain things to all of you. So yeah, I was talking about how sociology plays a role in your selection. So please, if you reflect upon what kind of marks a student gets, see in GS paper 1, GS paper 2, GS paper 3 and GS paper 4, on an average of selected candidates, if you reflect upon it, you will find that the students struggle to get even, like all the 4 consolidated together, students who get selected like becoming proper IAS officers, they on an average struggle to even get 425 marks. 425 is also considered, it was fine, good enough to get selected. That was the average marks on the basis of which students were selected this year. That is how people on an average talk about it. So, if I'm starting in September and completing by December, I'm concerned as it could be too cut short before the mains. Divyani, if that situation arrives, okay, what I'll do is towards the end of the session, I will facilitate certain consolidated lectures of like theoretical components which we do have, like I do have the backup lecture. So I can provide you those lectures related to theoretical components, or any student like Devyani who is associated with this year's prelims, and suppose you clear your prelims and you feel that you are like really running short of time. In that situation, if you are open to attend 2 sessions per day, I'll give you 1 backup session of some theoretical component, and the updates I will share it personally. Like let's say if there are 5 or 10 students who are appearing for this year mains and they have opted sociology. So other than taking the 2 lectures, 2 theoretical lectures, one the live session and second is associated with the recorded session. Or suppose like you have listened to the recorded session at 1.25x speed. Don't listen to my lectures more than that speed. You won't be able to perceive it. I on an average speak quite fast. I'm not a person who will be like draggy, slow. I speak more number of words per minute because I have that urgency to complete a lot of information. And when I have to take pauses and make you reflect, I go silent as well with the tone modulations. But on an average, when we are discussing about certain facts and all, I go very fast. So you can listen to it at 1.25x speed, finish that component, and with respect to contemporary reflections, with those few students, I can take up 1 hour lecture in personal capacity every night or any time which is agreed upon, and we can sit over a Zoom call or something like that, and we can reflect upon what updates should be incorporated related to that topic which you have already completed in theory. And that is how you can be pushed to complete the syllabus at least 15 to 20 days before your mains, at least, if possible even before, would be facilitated. All right. Problems coming while I'm reading the thinkers. You, Roshni, will not feel the same once the lectures have been attended, because not only you'll know the thinkers' concepts, you'll know them as persons, as human beings, how they have pursued their academic journey, what challenges they have experienced as human beings, and in the process, how they have arrived at the possibility of those theories which they proposed to the world, which marked a niche for them, and they could have a sense of understanding related to what is happening in and around them. All right. So that is something which probably I can create for all of you. All right. So There you will be able to think of Marx not as a man who is like existed almost 200 years back or 150 years back. You will be able to connect with Marx in today's welfare schemes and policies, today's interventions related to the informal sector. You will be able to sense Marx when in global forums and like World Economic Forum and all, when people start reflecting upon the crisis of the labor class. That's the relevance of Marx even today, that the vulnerable sections are not denied of their basic rights, and we like extend our larger concerns despite the world moving towards capitalism, including China. Economically, it is moving towards a hardcore capitalist country with its typical ventures. So yeah, that is what you will realize, that various thinkers, not only with respect to their background or who they were as persons, how they arrived at a theory, how they built the theory, how the concept unfolds before you. Along with all that, what is the criticism of the concept, which thinkers provided the criticism, and how it carries forward a new view of thinking about the concept afresh. Along with that, you will be also able to reflect upon how the thinker is still relevant in present times, because of which not only the person is in the syllabus, but also the person is important for you to observe the world in general. So that's there. BTech third year, can you suggest certain books that can give you an introduction to sociology? Naima, why don't you start with standard 11th NCRT related to sociology. The standard 11th NCRT, there are 2 books. So that can give you a brief introduction about sociology. Don't sleep over the book. Don't make notes from the book. Don't try to remember each and every fact discussed in the book. Try to understand. Understand what is being discussed, why it is discussed, and how it is relevant to you to understand what's unfolding before you. So standard 11th and standard 12th, both the NCRTs can be helpful to get a brief insight. Preferable would be you just listen to at least first few lectures. You'll get an idea that what is there in the books and what can be created in the class, right? I've not read anything about sociology, don't worry. Even if you have not studied anything about sociology, Srishti, I can assure you this thing that once you start dealing with the lecture, you will be far more confident and better off in terms of this optional. Even you can see different notes and material and all that garbage that is available in the market and determine for your own self that what is relevant for you and what is just unnecessary. So your sense of prioritization, your sense of understanding will be there. Also, I'm one person who never delimits my student to just stick to my material, my notes. No. If there is something good, beautiful, something which adds some insight and wisdom to your preparation and understanding, you can lift it from any other source, if it is coming from any other source, and you can just feel free to share it in your students group and with me, and we can reflect whether that can qualify as a question or it is relevant to your preparation or not. That can be created, right? Ma'am, any way to cover current sociology? Yeah, Shubham, for that I regularly update the insights in the class. I encourage the students how to update those segments. I also give them an idea how to update what news might come in the near future and how that should be updated. So I give that insight as well. And most importantly, with respect to this area, I give you an idea how the information, if ever any information is there in public, how you are supposed to segregate that information and present it. All right. So you will learn the knack, you will learn the technique, how to segregate, prioritize and infuse the information with respect to your GS or sociology both. I can also give you that insight that, oh, this topic is there, in GS they'll ask like this, but in sociology they'll ask like this. If in GS you're writing, write like this. If in sociology you're writing, you should have these segments incorporated, in the absence of which things will go haywire. Okay, all right. So I was discussing that in GS paper 1, as all of you can see, that getting 425 becomes a massive tedious task. But there are 3 areas which determine your selection and most importantly your rank when we are talking about it. First dimension is associated with essay, second dimension is associated with your optional, and third dimension is associated with your interview. In essay, there is 250 marks, out of which very confidently a good student can get 145 plus. In rare cases, students have got 170 plus as well, but that's rare. In fact, 165 plus is also rare. But getting 145 plus is perceivable. It is something which majority of the students can get it if they have that fine penmanship in terms of their expression. In optional, out of 500 marks, again, something closer to 300 marks is easily achievable. You can get anything between 280 to 330 quite comprehensively. Now, please understand, 280 is a student who is good, 300 plus is brilliant. The subjectivity comes from your not only capability to understand the concept, but also a lot of writing practice. That's why writing is essential. That's why reflection is essential. That's why building a comprehensive, consolidated, best possible answer is essential. Okay? Along with that, we can also reflect upon certain other insights which you can again reflect upon when we are discussing about it. So, with respect to this optional paper, you can see that when I am saying 300 out of 500 marks, and here you are getting 425 tentatively out of 1000 marks, you can see the difference for yourself. In interview, a student out of 275 marks can easily get somewhat closer to 170. Highest can go up to 208. My student Ayman Jamal, she became an IPS officer. She is from UP. So, she was a Jamia student. So, Ayman, she had got 208 marks, and because of her interview, she became an IPS officer. Otherwise, with 170, probably she making to the list also would have been tough. But that's a rare phenomena. On an average, any good student can get something between 170 to 190 in the interview. Even 165 is fair enough. Getting below 165 is like UPSC wants to see you into some grade B jobs or maybe desk jobs like revenue services or maybe customs services or postal services, but not on a service in which day-to-day interaction with common masses is incorporated. So, Animal, this is a very interesting question. When you are asking about which optional is good for a science background student, I will say that it's not about clearing an optional. As you can see over here, if you don't get good marks in GS, clubbed with optional, if you don't get good marks in essay, clubbed with optional, your selection can be tough. That's why I'm teaching you the number game. It's not an academic course. You're not going to get a degree. It is a course where you have to either win or lose. There is no in-between path. And for winning, every single marks matters. Like, because you are making a comparison between two optionals, as I have already shared this with you, the optional that you are sharing, Animal, will not help you with this GS, paper 1, Indian Society, paper 2, Social Justice, paper 3, Agriculture, and few topics of paper 4, Ethics, Integrity, Aptitude. Also essay. That optional will not be helping you even distantly related to these areas, but sociology will help. This is what I am saying. So, choose judiciously. Still, any and every optional is beautiful in itself till the time it is rousing your curiosity and you can build in it, as simple as that. Because in the end of the day, it is you who has to prepare and clear the exam, right? Other than that, all right. So, course duration, all the questions I have taken, okay. So, you all can see this when we are making a comparison with respect to this students, Pradeep Singh. इसका मैंने आंसर शीट आपके सामने कर दिया है. He was all India rank, as all of you can see. This fellow, he was an AIR rank like 93. It was his first attempt. He was 22 years old when he got selected. In essay, he gets like fair marks, 121. In GS, if we see 105, 116, 109, 103. Can you see that? It is barely summing up to 420, 430 marks. That's it. But in optional sociology, 171, 136. Can you see this? This is something which is clubbing to 307 marks, right? And 307 out of 500. And when we are talking about the 1000 out of 1000 marks in GS, the child is barely struggling between 420 to 430. So you can see the theory of relativity. You know, with a difference of 5 marks from IAS, you can become a revenue services officer. With a difference of 20 to 30 marks, you can be pushed from an IAS officer to grade B services in UPSC selection. Because do you presume that rank 1 and rank 700 have 700 marks difference? No. The difference is barely 20 to 30 marks. Because as you move ahead after 50th rank, 70th rank, 100th rank, on every single rank, there can be more than 20 to 30 students. 20 to 30 students. Can you beat it? So, sometimes with 20 to 30 marks variation, all the selections are frozen. And here, you are seeing that your optional can create that definite push. In personality test, you can see he got 160, and finally he got All India rank 93, and he becomes a proper IAS officer. You can see the same thing with respect to 2 other sheets I picked up. One is associated with Anu Kumari. She was All India second ranky, you know that. And then you can see Anya Das. Both these candidates, if you see their component related to GS 102 out of 250, 129, 134, 101, GS paper 4. So, this is the reality. But when it comes to optional, out of 250, 163, 155. Personality test, 187. You can see that, right? Essay 153. You can see the actual game changers. Again here, with respect to Anya, 131 essay. With respect to optional sociology, 158 out of 250, 142 out of 250. With respect to personality test, 184. You can see the true game changers with respect to your selection. So, with respect to your selection, it's your optional subject, your interview and your essay, which is the real game changer, which many people don't understand. So, they don't practice essays regularly, they take their optionals casually, they don't revise it effectively, and that creates all the difference. Probably I should show you some questions, interesting questions from 2020 and 2019, which can generate and rouse your curiosity. I was talking about 3 types of questions, as all of you can see that. Okay, no questions per se. So, you can just see this 3 types of questions we are talking about in terms of this. So, theoretical, evergreen reflective and current issue related questions. When we are talking about theoretical, evergreen reflective and current issue, we all can find there are different types of questions which are there and that need a specific type of, like, let's say, breakthrough. This one, as I say this one as a theoretical question, this can be like, this could have been asked 5 years back, 10 years back, today, or even 5 years later. This is a theoretical question. Capitalism has brought increasing informalization of work in Indian society. Substantiate your answer. This is a question which was asked in 2020 mains, sociology. And this is a question which, as I told you, it could have been asked any given year, like 5 years back, 10 years back, now 5 years later. This is what a typical theoretical question can be, which I say anyone who's, like, let us say, preparing, can prepare it beforehand, and even if you're appearing for your mains 2 years later, 3 years later, this is something which is going to help you. Not 3 years, but at least 2 years prior, you can start off. Again, one more thing is there, contemporary issue. I told you contemporary is not something which is current, as recent as 2 months back. No. Sociology deals with majority of its questions in terms of contemporary issue. So, you can see that. Why is gender a dimension of social stratification? This is theory. Along with this, how does gender intersect with other dimensions of inequality based on caste, class, race and ethnicity? Interesting, right? It's not about arriving at an answer right now. It's all about seeing the question and feeling, is it interesting? Do I feel like answering them? Can I understand that? Do I feel like knowing the theories related to it? To understand why these types of questions unfold before us, even in the real society. So, does the component of gender connect with caste? So, can we see gender-based inequality related to caste system? Can we see gender inequality related to class? So, a rich man exploiting a poor woman, an upper caste man exploiting a poor, a lower caste woman? Can we see a person who is feeling himself to be racially superior exploiting a woman whom he is considering racially inferior? So, can we see the intersections of gender with that of caste, class, race, ethnicity. Right? Ethnicity like tribal, so non-tribal man exploiting a tribal woman, can that be possible? So is the component of gender, which is again a type of social stratification, it is intersecting, you remember Venn diagram during school days you were learning? Yeah. So is it intersecting with the component of caste, class, race and ethnicity? Initially this question seems to be tedious, but when you start understanding the question, you're like, yeah, even now I can have at least few insights related to what it is all about. This is the beauty of sociology. It encourages you to connect with the larger concerns of the people, but not like a layman, not with common sense, but with profound academic scientific inquiry, rational inquiry, and what needs to be incorporated. Again, you can further see this in the light of judicial interventions on live-in relationships, discuss the future of marriage and family in India. And see this, right? Explain democracy as an order of society. What are the factors preventing people's participation in politics? All right, you can see this again. So these are certain questions which are part theoretical or evergreen reflective questions, analytical reflective questions. And when we talk of current issue, you can see this one, 2020 question, how does new education policy 2020? So this new education policy 2020, it was launched in August 2020 and it was asked in Jan 2021. So this is current affairs. So you can see not every question is current. Again, in 2019, we could see there was a lot of rumbling and tumbling and rioteering happening in different parts of India. And thus the question, how do you understand the minority question? CA, NRC, everything like fuming and seethering and a lot of debate associated with the minority concerns. And related to this, as all of you can see this, it is like examine the violence and discrimination against the religious minorities in India. I can see this is not getting very clear with all of you. Is it getting better for everyone? I hope so. I hope so. This is getting like clearer. Okay, all right. Which types of questions could be asked in interview? Shweta, first and foremost, I will encourage you to clear your mains. After that, can I score marks to up sociology? Yeah, Gauri Nanda, like sociology is quite scoring for students from all backgrounds. If you are really curious, with respect to commerce you are talking, this girl Anu Kumari was a girl associated with marketing and sales. Then she was working in one of the companies and then she left her job and then she started preparing with Sociology Optional and it was possible. So students belonging to like backgrounds from MBA or commerce or CA, I mean those students also clear with this optional with flying colors. It's all about your degree of connectivity with that optional subject, right? And along with that, any other question that you have come up with? Yeah, the interview question that you were asking, Shweta. Well, in interview it depends on your DAF, your background, your place of birth, the district you come from, the current concerns related to what's happening in and around in the world, internationally, nationally, whether you are connected and curious enough as an officer, what is unfolding at national level, socially, economically, politically. On an average, it gives a better sense of understanding of a compassionate officer, whether an officer is connected with the larger concerns of the people or not. So that sense of connectivity is established when a student is like able to, why is this YouTube lecture hazy? Tech team, YouTube का lecture का screen यहाँ hazy क्यों दिख रहा है? Please इसको आप लोग देखिए अगर आप इसका थोड़ा better कर सकते हैं resolution. Okay, so with respect to this, when we are talking about it, with respect to interview, Shweta, please understand that questions can be from any segment, but in the end of the day, all they are aspiring for is to ask all the different dimensions related to your sense of understanding and reflection. Please put me on the screen. Okay. So all your reflections and dimension related to the different dimensions of understanding about the society, about bureaucracy, about the people. your capability to decision making. So sometimes you can be given a case study or a situation in which the board will see whether you can respond effectively, whether you can take a decision in an in-time manner effectively. The board will also reflect upon your capability to understand the crises of the society. You can be asked questions from latest reports or economic survey. So the nature of questions can be quite diverse. With sociology, you will get a sense of understanding about the society to reflect about the vulnerable sections better and the concerns of the people, which the interview board is really concerned about. So generally, sociology optional students, their sense of compassion, sensitivity, impartisanship is tested with different situation based questions also, or some contemporary issue as well. Ethics and essay, I need guide when WhatsApp group is open. Okay, Prashant, that is something which I would provide in personal capacity or through a course, the course that would be running related to GS. So certain basic queries which are related to ethics or essay can be sorted, certain insights can be given. Is it a bad impression in interview if science student takes humanities optional? No, not at all. Zilang, in fact, if a student has taken different options, like let's say, there are a lot of students I told you who are who have taken BTech and then MBA and then they do a job and then they take a leave and then they start taking optional and then they opt for sociology optional. For those students, you will realize one thing, Zilang, as we are talking about it, you will realize that the student is knowing a lot of disciplines. So that this was a question that was asked to one of the students. I was sitting for a mock interview just a month back. So the interviews have started. If you're not aware, it started around end of August, 28th of August I'm saying, 28th of July, and then it is continuing till 24th of September. So this is the time period when the UPSC real interviews are going on. So one of the students was actually asked this question, and the student handled it with so much of elan, said that, sir, in civil services exam from paper 1 to paper 4, there is a definite inclination towards human sciences and social sciences because a definite understanding of society is required to govern the society. Hence, I felt that with my scientific temperament and the science background, my capability to rationalize, to understand the concepts will be faster, it will be quite pinpointed, but taking a humanities subject will definitely give me an edge to understand the people by engaging seriously and academically through that discipline and see the crisis of the people. So that showed that you are really having an integration and commitment towards your preparation. You are really committed to your preparation, henceforth you have come up with an optional associated with humanities subject. So whatever the subjective is, if it is humanities, you don't need to be bothered that in interview will it create a bad impression. No, that shows that you are an all-inclusive person, you are a multitasker, you are a curious learner and you can learn anything new at any given age, and you are also understanding the competition with the right combination of marks. So you're understanding that because humanities subject are asked more in the mains, so taking an optional which is humanities is more rational, it is more practical. So that's what. All right. Should your answers be rich in English? Well, Hekha, when we are talking about language, language is the tool for communication. What I have spoken so far, you might have realized that not a single, maybe 4 or 5 words might be tough. But on an average, what I have communicated, you have been able to understand each and everything. So you need to have a lucid command over language, which definitely gets built when you are getting taught by a teacher who's not only building your concepts, but also when constantly I keep speaking in a definite language with a set of words, subconsciously you start paying attention to the words and learning, grasping and using those words in your speech, in your answer. So that also builds your language, one thing. Second thing, because language is the tool of communication, whatever you know, in your mains or in interview, why not have power over language? Why to struggle with standard 7th or 8th level language, which you forgot to empower because in standard 10th, you had to take science. In 11th, 12th, you are busy to crack an engineering entrance or medical entrance or whatsoever. And in graduation, you just had to focus on the discipline rather than language building. So majority of you are still working on a language which is worthy of standard 8th kid. You hardly worked consciously to build your vocabulary or expression. And that is something which has created the lacunae. So why not address the, like, let us say, this challenge which is large in the room and which is going to impact your marks? Because the examiner doesn't know your caste, religion, region, background, anything. The examiner only knows you through your language, your power of communication. So yes, you should build upon it. You don't need to have flamboyant language. You don't need to have fancy accent, which is very British or American. No. You don't need to have like a vocabulary which is closer to that of Shashi Tharoor. No. You need to have the language of an NCERT standard 12th book. NCERT standard 12th book, if you read it, you'll understand every bit of it. But can you use the same vocabulary, like same flow? If not, that means something needs to be fixed. If a standard 12th level child is expected to read that language and express in that language, how about a graduate? A graduate who's appearing to become a civil servant. How about you becoming an interpreter, you becoming an ambassador and representing India in some foreign country? How about you becoming an IS officer and negotiating and discussing about issues with the CM along with some multinational corporation which has come to make an FDI? How about you working as an excise or, like, let us say, customs officer? In various capacities, if you don't have power to communicate with people belonging to different backgrounds, your capability to be an effective leader gets curtailed. So yes, one of the characteristics of a good leader is to be a powerful communicator. So yes, you need to do work on your language as well. All right? Anything else? So I think majority of your queries I have taken care of. How different should be answer writing approach for GS and optional? Rohan, there have been questions asked in sociology. If you see the previous year question paper, yes, one thing which I'll encourage all of you is please purchase a previous year question paper. A topic wise division will be great. It's not that the market which is furnishing previous year question paper divided topic wise, there's KBC question paper, New Vishal question paper, whatever it is. A student who has cleared mains or something is the person who has probably segregated the topic, not some academician or some senior professor has done that. So sometimes you may feel that a question which should have been in different chapter is placed in an incorrect chapter. Sometimes that may happen, but on an average 90 to 95% of the questions are kept where they should have been. A chapter wise segmentation of previous year question gives you an understanding of how questions have been asked related to that topic. It prepares you to understand how you should prepare that topic more comprehensively in the future. All right. So, all right, that's quite interesting, DG. So that's there. All right, your wishes can still be fulfilled, DG. I can still be your sociology teacher if you aspire to. Other than that, what else should be covered? I was discussing that sociological. So, sociological answer when it is asked, you are supposed to briefly bata दूं, तो ये बता देती हूँ. Sociology as a discipline, if you see, it is coming from two words, societas and logos. Societas is society, logos means science. So, how to scientifically study a society? So when you are talking about studying a society scientifically and various dimensions of a society scientifically, that means you will have facts, you will have hypothesis, you will be testing those hypotheses, and then you will be arriving at thesis, theory, or maybe you can establish a law as well. And those thesis, theory and laws will help you build a perception about the past, what's happening in present, and what course of action should be taken in future. Henceforth, your answer in sociology, how it becomes different from GS. So to support your argument, to support the analysis, you need to either prove it through some, because it's scientific engagement with that topic, no? And a scientific engagement, when you make a scientific engagement, then only the answer becomes sociological, right? So you will have to infuse or enthuse the various dimensions discussed by thinkers. Why? You are not a researcher doing your own research at ground level. Someone else has done the research. So borrow the research and prove your point through that person's research. That is how your point gets validated. One, understanding that? Second, after this nature of validation, what is the second point? How you can validate your point? So the second method of validating is you borrow the insights from some research paper. You borrow your insights from, like, let us say, some article which is printed in some newspaper or magazine, which is based on different types of facts and figures. So either prove it through facts and figures, research reports, or certain name of thinkers who have done research on that topic and have arrived at a conclusion. When you enthuse that, and after fusing all those dimensions, when you write an answer, the answer becomes sociological. Quoting a thinker is not required in GS. In fact, in GS, if you are quoting a thinker, the answer has too much of expertise and marks can be deducted, because it is general studies, it is not expert studies. So in GS, you don't need to quote thinkers and all to prove your point, to prove your perspective. But in sociology, if that's missing, the scientific inquiry and engagement is missing, you may lose the marks. All right? I hope you're understanding that. Rohan? So my background is BTech, currently doing an IT job. Is it possible for me to end the syllabus before the PT? End the syllabus before the PT, do you realize the PT is just after a month, Sachin? And if the PT is just after a month and the syllabus on an average of any optional subject is at least of 90 days, at least. I am offering, like, it can be, because it's an online course, material can be supported and supplemented, it can be done in a month, in like 3 months or 81 lectures. So that is something, Sachin, which you will have to give some time. This is like, अभी just एक किसी ने Facebook पे sponsored वो audio video था, clear UPSC in 2 months. And you know what was the most popular response to that? Ha ha. So 90% of responses were ha ha, because that's not believable. So please understand, if someone is selling you a course that optional can be completed in 1 month, the person is taking you for a joyride. That is only possible when you are preparing for optional at least 12 hours a day. If you are ready to commit for 12 hours a day, please reach out to us. I'll see to it how the backup videos of some previous course is provided to you, so that you are able to watch 12 hours per day multiplied by, like, let us say 20-25 days, so that you are able to cover the syllabus. That's the only solution. There is no other solution, Sachin. Okay, for PT 2022, yeah, definitely. I mean, this is going to be PT 2022 when we are talking about it. PT 2021 is going to be in October. Okay, so PT 2021 is going to be in October. PT 2022 में तो ज़माना है बच्चे, है ना? वो comfortably you will be able to cover this syllabus by next year, like Jan or so. Maybe few lectures may go rumble tumble in Feb, because we don't know if third wave is coming or not, what technical issues can come up. Compulsorily, the, like, this infrastructure takes a break around Christmas and New Year. So, and even I take a break because I cannot be all mechanical. So I do take a break and take a trip on an average during, like, Christmas and New Year. So because after teaching for 2.5 months, I do need a break to, like, just get alive and revive myself accordingly. So that's there. So this is how we will be, like, moving ahead with this session. Will I be penalized if I do not attempt a question? Oh, Pasi, when you are talking about this, penalty marks, is there any penalty marks associated with this area? Many students might feel that question. Yes, UPSC does levy penalty marks, but on what? On this very issue that you have not attempted a question? No. There is no penalty related to not attempting a mains question, whether GS or optional. But there is penalty marks when you faff up, when you put all gas answers, when you don't know the answer, you're just writing anything. Remember those school days when, or college days when students, they didn't know the answer and they used to write anything which they have studied. मतलब वही कि पूछो सनम कुछ भी लिखेंगे वो जो आएगा. ऐसे कुछ चमत्कारी बच्चे होते हैं ना यूनिवर्सिटी एग्जाम्स, बस 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 वही बच्चे ऐसे होते हैं जिनके साथ ये कांड होता है. मतलब those students who end up writing something which is associated with, like let us say, different types of backgrounds, and those students who are belonging to different types of like backgrounds, and when they, like let's say, are preparing for a given subject and they are attempting the answer, in the process of attempting, if that child doesn't know the answer and is writing any random stuff, even if that doesn't qualify as the answer, and if the examiner is sensing that answer after answer in your GS or in optional, the person can levy 25 marks penalty. You know, with that what happens, one of my students, Meena, uske saath ye hua hai 3 years back. In GS he did it. You know, he got his interview call. In interview also he got very good marks, 176 or so, and still couldn't make it to the service. Nothing, not even allied service. Why? 25 penalty marks. Optional also he had got good marks. In GS somewhere he must have done this crap. Means you're not knowing the answer and you're just going on gas after gas after gas. The examiner is like, the question is this, what is the child writing? Okay, fine. Maybe the child perceived the answer incorrectly. So one question, the examiner is easy. Second question, again the examiner realizes that I asked something else, the child is writing something else again. So again the examiner can like think of penalizing that, but the examiner's patience is getting tested. Third question, examiner is like, what has this student considered me? And if the student considers me that, it's not I, it's the student. So let me reward the student with that marks. So 25 marks penalty levied. So don't fool the examiner. The examiner is understanding the question. So don't try to write anything which is not relevant to the question. Don't start writing, not that you start writing Bollywood songs, not that, but you still start writing any random stuff which doesn't qualify as the answer. So that shows inauthenticity, that shows intellectual corruption, and intellectual corruption leads to bad marks. That's the logic. All right. A lot of facts, so it can be presented in the answer. Geomin, no, you don't need to memorize facts. You need to understand concepts. You need to understand theories. And why are you so scared of like memorizing? We all have to memorize alphabets since childhood, no? If we didn't know the alphabets, we could not create words. If we could not create words and letters, we could not write sentences. If we could not understand grammar and build the sentences, we won't have been communicating. So memory has facilitated our sense of understanding and building the basic insights, concepts, capability to communicate. Similarly, if a child is not memorizing basic facts in history, basic articles in polity, how will you analyze a given question? Because for analysis, you need to back up your analysis with definite facts and examples, right? So please, when you are starting with UPSC preparation, there is nothing like too many, because it's not a state commission exam whereby factual questions will be asked. Analytical questions will be asked, but for analysis, you need to support the analysis with what? You need to support it with the facts, with understandings, with observations coming from different sources. So this is what? Geometry. Sumit, ma'am, I'm a Group B civil servant working in Delhi. For working people, will classes will be available in recorded mode? Yes. If there is a working, if a student is in like working and is not able to attend the class live, in that situation, two things can be created. Okay, you also intend to appear for this state commission? All right, fine, that's perfectly fine, Sumit. So what can be created for all those students who are working professionals? They can, if they are someday unable to attend the lecture live, let me see if I can keep the lecture on, like, but weekend engagement is going to be tedious, I'll have to free some weekday. Okay, I'll design it accordingly. So if like any student is like, let us say, associated with a job and cannot attend the live lecture, not only the recorded sessions will be available, we can fix few days in a week whereby some live discussions can be like created to begin with, whereby the child, whenever he or she is experiencing any confusion or any kind of challenge with respect to the preparation, some individual discussion can be created, so that whatever has been taught in the lecture, if it has yet not been addressed, that can be solved in personal capacity. So this is how that will be taken care of. right? And that will be something different from the WhatsApp group discussion that will take care between the students. That will be a different effort. That will be something which will be beyond the WhatsApp group discussion. That will be exclusive to few students who are working professionals and attending a recorded session. They can just get consolidated as a group. I can create a group for them and look into those students' concerns. Live sessions, definitely they do provide an edge in terms of engaging with the debate in the class, raising the right questions, giving your own insights and suggestions. And you know, when you raise a question, any one of you who has constantly typed questions over here, you all must have realized this, isn't it? That while like typing your question and seeing the teacher respond to it, suddenly you have light in your eyes, or your level of focus and concentration is greater. Because subconsciously our mind does realize that this is a recorded session or this is a live session. And when we feel that this is a live session and it is I who is getting the attention, my question is getting the focus, your sense of connectedness is better. If any student ever indulges in a recorded session of any teacher, not just mine, please do sit with pen and paper and try to write any keyword of what the teacher has spoken in every 5 minutes, so that your focus is always there. You are not getting diverted in terms of your attention when it comes to a lecture. How to keep yourself motivated? I generally do that in the classes as the lectures unfold quite regularly, whereby the process first starts externally, whereby I enthuse the child, and bit by bit I help you to get into those moments of self-reflection and identification of your strengths and strong suits, so that that motivation comes from inside. You don't need friends, family or teachers to always enthuse you from the, having a top-down approach. It should be a bottom-up approach. So that should get created. For that there are certain insights, and one of the greatest thing which can really help you is your sense of purpose. What is your sense of purpose for this given exam, for this level of selection? So if you understand your sense of purpose, that sense of purpose will always keep you in that motivation. So whether you have slept properly or not, you have fed yourself properly or not, though the health of your mind and body is as important as your capability to learn. Because in the absence of your energies gaining a sense of equanimity, your mind, body and spirit having aligned with each other, you cannot really prepare well. But along with that, there is one more thing, that this alignment can be further utilized if that motivation is coming from within. And that comes when you are very clear about your purpose for this exam, why you want to prepare, how you want to go about with it. How to understand the concepts in all subjects. That's a very open-ended question, Adul. I can take the guarantee of the concepts related to my subjects. You can first finish the basic concepts with respect to what is being taught in the class, the basic reference material which has been suggested by me. After understanding it, because I give a lot of real life examples and in-time examples, which you can connect with. The examples can be something formal from books and different academic sources. They can be informal, related to memes or all the jokes that you are surrounded by. It can be anything, but it will help you to understand the concept thoroughly, build upon it and create the possibilities. So you can just go ahead with that, and after understanding the concepts, then try to have a sense of reflection that in what areas and which subjects that concept can be useful. Because as you could see, one of the students had asked that, ma'am, do agrarian laws also qualify for sociology? And I said, yeah, they do qualify. There is a chapter called Rural Agrarian Transformation. So when you are talking about concepts, when you understand a concept, you know that this is associated with GS paper 3, agriculture also, it is related to sociology paper 2 as well. What will be the book list? Lipika, I will be providing the book list, but at the same time, all the books which are relevant for sociology, for preparation of sociology, because I'm an academician and I already have those books. So I have picked it for, let's say if I'm talking about tribal concerns related to post-modernity. So post-modernity and tribal crisis, S.L. Doshi has written a book related to post-modernity. In that there is a chapter of post-modernity and tribals. I have picked an insight from there and I have fused in your booklet. I told you there will be, towards the beginning of the lecture, I said there will be two types of material given to you. One will be in the form of handouts, which will be for the regular conduction of lecture. Once the topic is completed, you have the booklet. So in the booklet, you have all the academic sources clubbed together. The academic sources can be from IGNOU, it can be from other think tanks, intellectuals who have like reflected upon that topic. And all of it has been consolidated in that booklet. You cannot understand that booklet because academicians have written it. Those articles are rich and loaded with academic reflections. The language can also be quite meandering. So I cannot let you jump directly on it. It's just like someone is one has to reach at the speed of 1500 kilometer per hour. So from 0 to 1500 it's not possible. So the lectures will take you up from 200 kilometers, 600 kilometers, 700 kilometers. By the time the chapter would be completed, it would be something like 1200 kilometers per hour. But once you finish the booklet, your speed will be 1500 kilometers per hour. So that's what I would say, Lipika, when it comes to the book list. You don't need to purchase those books. Already the consolidation of those books has been created in the book that I'll be providing. It's not written by me. It is by different thinkers from different sources, already consolidated. From when the regular classes would start? 7th. 7th of the next month. 6th also I might provide a basic introduction to first chapter. 7th onwards, 7th of September onwards, I'll start building all the details of the chapter. On 6th, I will be building the basic structure of chapter 1. This is what I aspire for. I couldn't get one proper book of social movements in India. Yeah, social movements, Ghanshyam Shah had written a book, though updates are not there. So that book was in 2007. If you are not aware of that book, Zilang, you can just find out online, you will find a copy of Ghanshyam Shah's book, Social Movements in India. Right? The current and contemporary movements are not incorporated, but obvious 2007 ki book hai, but it can give you a basic understanding of tribal movement, peasant movement, middle class movement, all those different types of movements and contribution of different sections of society is covered over there. Okay? Do we also have to prefer NCERT after your given booklets? Shweta, no. NCERT is for that student who asked that, ma'am, before the class, what can I study? So finish the NCERT, standard 11th and 12th. And then you will be able to connect with the lectures also. You'll be like, oh, I had read something like this in NCERT. At that time, I didn't have this clarity. Now, listening to what ma'am is saying, it seems very easy. Oh, this is what was written in that book. All right. So that sense of pre-introduction can be created for from the NCERT for my lecture. That is what. If someone is aspiring to like finish something beforehand. Average time for a student to cover sociology optional. Neeraj, just give 3.5 hours at least per day. That will be more than enough. By the time the course would get concluded, you will be able to complete this dimension. Okay, Asha, if you want to reach out to me, you can just use this mail ID. Shweta.satya, नहीं एक मिनट, ये ऑप्शनल का कोर्स है ना, रुको, let me just. Now where is the pen? It's sweta.satya.singh@gmail.com. Once the management provides me the list of the name of students that they have and like who are a part of the sociology group, then I will be creating the group. The group will be created by the course coordinator, my junior only, but we don't create it randomly. It is only after the list being furnished by the management, once they have confirmed their paperwork or whatever, right? Asha, I think I have shared this. Are you able to see that, Asha, the mail ID? Because you are asking that don't know if our queries are reaching to you. The queries are reaching to you. So can you see this? I have shared the mail ID for you only. Average time for a student to cover sociology optional. Oh God, it's like you finish Ramayana and someone is asking who is Sita. I have already shared, Neeraj, that sociology will take 81 to 85 sessions on an average. I am a person who doesn't believe in dragging the lectures unnecessarily. So I will be like finishing the component, right? Okay, so I'll be finishing the component in 81 sessions. There will be certain breaks, like let us say if there is Durga Puja and Dashera and the institute is closed, or Diwali, the institute is closed. There's Christmas and New Year, that is the time when we take a longer break. So the institute is closed. So considering all those breaks in between, and not every day in the week you are studying, almost like 4 to 5 days in a week you are studying optional, rest days you are making notes, reading, reflecting, preparing your own bullet points and preparing your own notes. I'll teach you how to prepare notes, I'll share how notes are created by students, alright. So all those dimensions I'll be reflecting upon and creating that for all of you. And that is what you will be doing in the rest of the days. So a 7-day preparation from your part, at least when my lecture is not going on, 3 hours de dena us din, theek hai? And rest of the days you can give 1.5 or 2 hours other than the 2-hour lecture. And then by the time the session will get completed, 81, 85, whatever sessions get completed, your portion shall get completed. All right? I hope no one else will again ask the same question that ma'am, when it is going to get completed. How much will it help to pursue MA in Sociology? MA in Sociology can help you, Shubham, with respect to the insights, I would say, when you are pursuing MA in Sociology, with respect to thinkers and for in-depth reflection, it will definitely help. All right, so that is there. Abhishek, management will take care of the issue which you are asking related to fee and all. Please speak to the management. Here you can ask the questions related to the preparation, about sociology as an optional, about how to go ahead with your preparation. For that, I am always there, right? So let us talk about like the academic questions and issues related to the preparation. That will make more sense. So that's there. All right. So this is it for today. I think this is like a comprehensive discussion. Do we need to memorize the name of different experts or who are writing the article in newspapers? Srishti, I'll train you and teach you that technique. When and how to pick the thinkers and when and how to quote them. It's too premature to talk about it without you even understanding the basic concepts, right? So let us understand that. Are diagrams and illustrations important for answer writing? Ansh, if you are providing diagrams and illustrations, that will add more pictorial appeal to your answer. Diagrams or like let us say illustrations, they don't provide like let us say okay, all the satellite students who are like pushing the question 3 times or 4 times and they feel the question is not reaching out. There are 2 concerns related to the satellite questions or students who are like let's say the dimensions that all of you are like raising, especially from satellite centers and like online centers. There are 2 things. While I am explaining an answer, even if I am seeing your question, I am unable to take it. Second, there is at least 10 seconds lag. This is the game of technology. So by the time you are typing it and sending it, almost it takes 10 seconds to reach to me. Then suppose I am discussing something else, then I am observing and not getting back to it. Later when I get back to it, you feel that, oh, your question has not reached out. Your question does reach out. So please, all of you who are like really listening to this lecture, be very confident that your question does reach. But it may take some technical lag. It may take few seconds to reach out. All right. So don't feel nervous that it seems we are typing, but is it reaching to the teacher? Our technology is foolproof. We have conducted online lectures for more than an year. Satellite sessions have been conducted since 2013. We are one of those very few institutes which started our satellite centers across 30 centers in India. So, I mean like that is something which you can be confident about. All those students who are connected through satellite mode. So be very confident your questions are reaching out to me. Okay, first. Second thing that you had asked related to the diagrams and illustrations. Diagrams, illustrations don't qualify as an answer. They don't give you marks. But if you have suppose explained the concept well, and along with that you have provided a diagram or an illustration, it does add value to the answer in terms of expression, and that does give you extra marks. That does happen. Okay. So, like let us, you are talking about sociology as science, and there is a diagram that I have drawn related to sociology as a science, how sociology can be a science. It can indulge in those methods which are used in natural science as well. So, I will draw a diagram to explain that, suppose. Or to explain family, marriage, kinship, I will be drawing a lot of diagrams. If you use the same diagrams after writing the answer in paraphrased manner, so suppose you have written the introduction, then you have explained the concepts. You can explain the concepts in bullets also, in arrows also if it is a 10 marker question, or you can write little 2 or 3 paragraphs and explain the concept. Both are agreeable and acceptable. Other than that, if you have time, if you are drawing a rough diagram along with the concept that you have explained, it will definitely give you an extra edge. But for that you need a definite writing speed, comprehensive understanding of all questions, so that you don't pay extra attention on one question and miss out 2 others. That imbalance should not happen. All right. Okay, Abhishek, we are right now in collaboration with like 2 other places. So that's why you are experiencing this thing. All right, which you are asking. Presently, you are associated with my organization or my institution from where you are able to attend the YouTube session. So this is my platform from where you are attending it. All right. Breaking down session, understandable terms. Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, DG, for your kind comments. When should we start answer writing practice for UPSC? By the time the first chapter will be completed, Divya, you will be encouraged to start attempting questions the moment the first chapter of sociology is completed. And by the time you will finish 2 to 3 chapters, you will be expected to appear for the test. So answer writing is something which should start from the very basic level of preparation itself. Answer writing doesn't happen towards the end. Initially you struggle with basic concepts, initially you will struggle recalling the concepts, building the content. That happens initially, but bit by bit you shall realize that your sense of understanding and your sense of lucidity related to that concept is getting established. You are able to arrive at the right conjunctions, right prepositions, you are able to recall the right technical term to write your answer with more practice, because you learn to arrive at an introduction quite instantly the more you practice. Many students think that, oh God, I don't know how to start the answer. They waste few seconds only to think the first 2-3 sentences of an answer. That happens to a beginner. A pro who is constantly into writing, that person sometimes has a tentative structure for introduction, that if these type of questions will come, this is how I'll introduce. If this type of question is coming, this is how I'll conclude. So a tentative framework of introduction and conclusion is also created by a person who's pro in answer writing. And that also cuts down your time. But because this exam is all about completing the question paper in a wholesome, agreeable manner with all the components addressed properly. And that's possible when you also learn time management. And time management comes with answer writing. And answer writing starts with first chapter itself. Okay, so ma'am, if we compare PSIR and sociology, despite PSIR being bulky, we anyhow have to do both. As the results say PSIR is more scoring. Divakar, all the subjects are scoring. When you are talking about PSIR, if you see the previous year records, I wish I had presented it. 2000, you go to UPSC website, 2017, UPSC had provided the comparative analysis of which optional is most scoring and why. You will see the number of students appearing in PSIR and the percentage of students that are cracking it through PSIR, a number of students who are appearing with sociology and students who are clearing the exam with sociology, the difference is not immense. It is barely a % or so. That's it. That's it. One thing. Second thing, when you compare the syllabus of PSIR and sociology, PSIR is to a great extent helpful in GS paper 2. But when we talk about sociology, it, to a certain extent it can be helpful for essay as well. And it's a very good optional. But the only thing is political science and IR, like my student Hamid Bukhari, I had taught him at Jamia way back. He is presently in this a grade A services related to trade services, Indian trade services, which was incorporated few years back. So Hamid had PSIR, and he was also later a student of JNU pursuing his PhD from the discipline, and he had got a very good marks in PSIR. He had got 310. So that's also a very good optional, beyond doubt. But the thing is, the syllabus is slightly bulky than sociology. So there sociology wins the game when it comes to the bulkiness. Both the subjects are interesting, both are scoring, both are helpful in GS. I mean, PSIR also helps you in GS paper 2 massively. It helps you in one of the essay topics. If you are not attempting a social topic, you can attempt a political topic as well. That option is there. And if not political, to kuch IR se related de dega. So that ways it is helpful. But yeah, when it comes to the bulkiness, that's there. And when it comes to scientific temperament, sociology is youngest of all social sciences. So it is far more scientific in its orientation than PSIR. That's another USP of sociology. The nature of scientific inquiry, because PSIR is an old optional, so there are a lot of thinkers who are like, for hundreds of years. When it comes to sociology, thinkers are relatively latest, barely 200, 250 years old, if we are talking about the core thinkers, okay? And Indian thinkers barely 100 years old, so, or 70, 60, 40, 10, 20, like that. So the discussions are quite contemporary, and syllabus is relatively shorter. That's the advantage. I'll always justify my optional despite recognizing the importance of the other one. Does sociology or PubAd have more overlaps of topic with GS? Why am I making these comparisons? Because you people are not certain of the optionals. Public administration also helps in GS, definitely. PubAd selection percentage in past few years has not been so helpful, so conducive. That is about PubAd, if we are talking about it. Okay, PubAd, in terms of percentage of selection, it is quite low compared to like sociology or PSIR, both incorporated together. But PubAd is a very interesting subject. It's a very, I would say, engaging subject. It helps you in governance. It helps you in few topics of GS paper 4, ethics. The last two bulky topics are covered under it. So that's also there. Okay, so this is about the comparisons. I hope I have taken the comparisons also. So I hope all of you have gained a sense of clarity and understanding. So can we call it off now? And let's hope that, okay, C.N. Shankar Rao Khurai, you had asked, right? So C.N. Shankar Rao is, he's an academician, he's a sociologist. That book can help you establish your basic concepts, but it will not facilitate your selection, because the previous year questions that are asked, except the typical theoretical questions, the questions which are blended with theory and contemporary or theory and current, those questions cannot be answered with C.N. Shankar Rao. So C.N. Shankar Rao has its delimitation. Okay, you have bought the BA Sociology IGNOU material, Neeraj, no problem, that's perfectly fine. As the topics get covered, okay, you will be able to identify the topics which are there in the BA Sociology. You can read those volumes, but be very speedy. The USP of IGNOU material is that IGNOU material is too detailed. Just as if a professor cannot speak in the class, so everything the professor can probably speak in a class is typed in the IGNOU material. And sometimes certain paragraphs are predictable, so one needs to jump through those paras. So IGNOU needs smart reading. How to do that? If anyone is doing IGNOU, I'll explain once the lectures are commenced. I have already abbreviated IGNOU material in the booklet I was talking about, relevant IGNOU material. C.N. Shankar, I've seen the question. 3 simultaneously, college, GS and optional. Okay, Priya. So college, GS and optional. For UPSC preparation, just give 5 hours of preparation till the time your college is going on. Once college is over, start giving 8 hours of conceited preparation. You shall make it, all right? So, thanks a lot, all of you. Any other question that's there? Can you talk about the syllabus? Yes. Diya, with respect to syllabus, I will be conducting a session on most probably on 31st of this month. This is what I aspire for. So, on 31st, the next workshop that I aspire to create, on that day I will be taking care of the syllabus. Meanwhile, what you can do, and you can be very confident about it, Dia, you can see the previous year question paper. See, I had created the, like, as you can see, 1 minute aap screen dikha dijiyega, theek hai. So, I had taken down the, like, you know, this is the syllabus. I had taken down the syllabus. I aspired to discuss the syllabus in great detail. But Dia, what happened was that the other questions started pouring in from all of you people, and I had to discuss and take all those questions as well, which seemed to be more important because they were more basic in nature. Syllabus discussion anyway will happen when I will be taking up the discussion related to the preparation. When I will be like helping you prepare topic after topic, you will be like preparing various dimensions as well. So, there you will be focusing on each and every topic, what chapter is like what UPSC has proposed in that chapter and what needs to be covered up in it. So, I will be discussing that. Alright, so I hope all the questions have been taken care of. How to manage all the three simultaneously. Priya, I think I have discussed that, isn't it? Your query has been duly addressed. Priya? Any other questions which any one of you have? My pleasure, Shubham. I am glad that you could connect with what is being discussed. Any other regional center student or satellite student or online student having any other question, please feel free to ask. I am there for another 1 or 2 minutes to look into your concerns. Else, can we just call it off? Regional centers 5 seconds का lag लेगा ना? नहीं 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 नहीं. Neeraj, I have addressed your issue related to BA Sociology. I'm already providing the booklets which will have the IGNOU material. All you need to do is you need to run through those topics which are in common. Alright, that's it. So, diagrams I have already discussed, CN Shankarrao I have already discussed. Dia, with respect to the syllabus, that's what I'm saying, that with respect to the syllabus, you can just go through the syllabus as I open the syllabus and I start discussing the syllabus with respect to each and every chapter that I will be teaching. Okay, so in that you will realize that while I'll be teaching the different types of topics, I will be elaborating whenever I start any chapter. I first start with the syllabus. I start like substantiating the syllabus, what is there in syllabus, whether I teach GS or optional. I first started with the syllabus. So, what is there in the syllabus, the contour of the syllabus, what is expected by the examiner by giving that syllabus, what kind of questions come from that syllabus and how to update yourself accordingly. Alright. You have the first webinar regarding optionals, that is why the comparison. Yeah, that is possible, Ansh. Thank you for understanding. Okay, glad to know that. Okay, Kurai. Alright, so my pleasure, Naima. Fine. So, shall we like then call it off and consider the session to be conclusive? Okay. My pleasure, Suresh. Main difference between prelims and mains, please see the question paper. The moment you will see the question paper, you will understand the difference. Prelims is all about like understanding the facts and analysis. Questions are like asked in a different manner, and in mains you have to write. So, you need to really understand and know, then only you can substantiate it. Dekho previous year question paper dekho. Ma'am, who BA IGNOU material is relevant or is in some parts, please address. Shubham, only in some parts. BA IGNOU material is relevant only in some parts, इसलिए आप देखोगे BA IGNOU का कुछ पार्ट उठा के मैंने बुकलेट में डाला है, but सारा पार्ट नहीं डाला है. Like for example, for thinkers, Parsons, if I am talking about thinkers, Parsons के लिए BA IGNOU का material बहुत अच्छा है. It's really very good. So, I will be taking like the insights of Parsons from BA IGNOU or requesting students, please read Parsons from BA IGNOU material, it's really good, right. But for like, let us say if I am discussing about marks, then for marks in the book, I have picked it from Ritzer, and that is why I am very easily quoting the sources. Abraham and Morgan I have used for Merton. So, I do not expect you to buy these different books. it will be confusing for a student to read one chapter from one book, another chapter from another book. The child will be so confused, so flustered. So cutting down that confusion for a child, I myself picked from different sources which I felt is most relevant from this source and consolidated it in the reading list. So that reading list booklet will be provided to you once that chapter is completed, or maybe I can get it sent to you in a bulk, and once the chapter is completed with the handout which will be given to you, handout 20-25 page ka hota hai, that's it. So once that handout of 15, 20, 25 according to the size of the chapter, once the handout and discussion is completed in the class, book is something which you need to read in your private capacity. That is for your private reference work. So even the reference material I am giving you, other than the material that will be taught in the class, right? So this is it. All right. Thank you. Thanks a lot, all of you. God bless you all. Hope to see all of you again. On 31st, there's a higher possibility of conducting another workshop. Few basic discussions will be similar because there will be students like you who will be starting from the scratch. But that day, I'll try to take up the issue of discussing the syllabus and like taking up certain other queries as well. So if you have some other sets of queries which are seething inside you in this next 1 week, after watching other optional teachers, if you feel that, okay, fine, now I'm like getting a sense of settlement with sociology, and or like, you know, other kind of inquiries which is happening in and around the world, and you feel that, oh, this is also something I need to connect and ask ma'am. So you can just enlist those queries, and on 31st, when I go for my second workshop, you can just raise your questions then. That day, I'll try to take up the discussion related to the syllabus as well. All right. So thank you all of you, and God bless you all. Bye. Take care.